Hi everyone, and welcome to Tonkean's product webinar. My name is Brett Lee. I am the VP of Product Marketing for Tonkean, and I'm joined today by Rory O'Brien, who is our Head of Solutions. We're here today to talk about how you can optimize your operations holistically across all of the key components of your business, and that includes your processes, your systems, and your people. I'm going to set the context with just a few slides and then hand it off to Rory for a live product demonstration. It goes without saying that optimizing your business operations is quite a complex challenge. There's three core areas that you need to think about. Number one, making sure that you have efficient, aligned processes that achieve business outcomes. Number two, you have the right set of systems that are supporting your processes and your people, and you don't have too much waste, redundancy in your systems and or too many gaps. And finally, is about optimizing your people in the process itself, making sure that they're spending time where they should be and that there's nothing actually falling through the gaps when it relies on people. And the mixture of these three things is what makes optimizing business operations challenging. Now, a key reason for that is because the current options that you have for improving your operations is limited. There's three things that you can basically do today. Number one, you can buy a new app. And there's a lot of packaged apps out there that solve a particular set of pains. And that's one of the options that you have. Number two, you could be writing custom code. And that requires you to go to engineering and or IT and or hire outside resources to write code for you in order for you to optimize or automate a particular process. Or finally, and this is typically the de facto default option, is you ask people to do something different or to follow a documented process, and you have to manage that process change. The drawbacks of each of these options is pretty obvious. On the side of buying new apps, well, they're packaged and your business is unique. So that means you need to customize and connect the applications that you buy into your current environment and your current infrastructure. It also forces new behavior. It requires people to learn another set of screens, another interface, another set of functionality that they aren't used to today. And finally, you can buy a bunch of different apps that may do similar things with slight differences, and that leads to inefficient tech spend. Now, you could write code, and that's a much more customizable way of solving your unique challenges. However, there's a limitation on coding resources. It relies on very expensive development resources that typically aren't living within your organization. It's either outside in IT or in R&D, and or outside consulting resources that you have to hire. Once you have custom code, you have to maintain it. And many people don't actually think about that. They think about the initial implementation cost and forget about the fact that you have to continually update and maintain that code over time. And that leads to technical debt. And you only want to maintain so much custom code because it's not your core expertise. You actually want to be focusing on running your business rather than maintaining code. And finally, managing process change. As we all know, change is hard. People are resistant to change. And especially when you think about functions across your organization, just because sales want things a certain way doesn't mean that legal or finance is going to follow along, and vice versa. And so you have to manage that change across function, align incentives for each of the teams, which is very hard to do. And finally, it's hard to follow through. Just because you have a process document, it doesn't mean that actually people are going to follow it. They're going to find workarounds. They're going to not know how to do things. And so that requirement to make sure people are following through on that process adds overhead from an operational perspective to your business as well. So what if I told you there was another option to allow you to streamline your processes without some of the drawbacks of the current options that you have and that you're aware of? That is no-code orchestration. You can think of it as a platform that enables you as a business operations professional to streamline, to automate, to manage, to monitor your processes and tasks for people without the need for you to write custom code and without the need for you to introduce new applications into your environment. That is essentially what Tonkean is. We help simplify the orchestration of your complex processes, that is dynamic, human-centric, cross-functional type of processes, with a no-code platform built for the enterprise. It gives business teams much more flexibility and self-sufficiency while reducing the reliance on IT and developers to deliver solutions for you. Here's how it works. You can think about Tonkean as a bridge between IT and or engineering and your current technology environment with the business processes that you need to run across your business. Behind the scenes, Tonkean connects and integrates with all the different tools and systems that you have in your stack. These could be packaged cloud applications like Salesforce, Zendesk, Intercom, Jira, and 1,000 more. We can integrate using native connectors as well as custom connectors. We can also connect with your custom-built solutions. And this, for engineers, is very valuable because they can now create an internal API that's very easily consumable by the business. So in the case where you need usage data piped for your sales team and or the ability for marketing to go in and change language in the product, they can actually create an interface for the business teams to actually do so without having to go to IT or engineering every single time for an update. This also means direct integration to your collaboration platforms like Slack, Teams, Hangouts, and email. We understand that a lot of your teams run and use these tools on a daily basis, and why not surface actions and data from your productivity applications to where actually people sit. And then finally, connecting directly to your databases to be able to surface data that you can then act on as a business. So all of these things can be set up by IT, your business technology team, your business applications team, to create a safe environment that they can govern, but then hand to you as a business operations team to run on your own. Now, on top of it, in order to do that, you need to abstract away a lot of the technical details or coding needs that are inherently needed to customize or to automate on top of your current stack. And so Tonkean provides a no-code workflow builder that's easy to use for you as a business operations professional. We've abstracted away a lot of the technical know-how that and kind of details that are necessary to make a process robust. Things like, how do you maintain context over a process? And how do you link all the various data elements in the underlying systems? Things like, how do you actually leverage natural language processing and optical character recognition to enhance and to take action on some of the unstructured data within your environment? Other things like, how do you actually coordinate with people? Because people are unpredictable, they don't act like machines where if you ask them a question, they respond immediately. There's logic that goes into how to actually chase people. And we've abstracted that away into simple actions that you can just add to your workflow to be able to coordinate and chase people for things like approvals, updates, etc. So with this, we've created a single platform trusted by IT and blessed by engineering that enables various business teams, whether it's marketing, sales, or legal, or support, or finance, to be able to build their own workflows without constant reliance on custom code. And now there's various things you can build. If you're in legal, for example, legal intake is a great example of needing to accept incoming requests from different parts of the business, whether that's Salesforce for contracts, whether that's Slack for questions, whether that's custom built forms for other legal matters. The legal team can now create a single interface that connects to all of these existing tools that then sort and collect all of the legal requests and then take action on it. Right. This could also be for revenue teams where you have to connect marketing, sales, and support organizations and make sure data and workflows are passed back and forth between each of the different teams. You can now do so without having to create a single platform or a single application that links all of these three teams that they all have to then use, which requires a ton of change management. Right. So you can think about a lot of these different examples that allow you to optimize this unique mix of people, process, and systems holistically across your organization. And the benefits of this are massive. Number one, you can accelerate operational velocity. So not only is this accelerating your processes, but it's also accelerating the speed at which you as a business operations professional can build new processes or automate or orchestrate new processes. And that gives you the ability to be much more strategic over time and continue to improve your operational efficiency. This reduces IT dependency. Now, notice that this doesn't say eliminate IT dependency because you always need IT there to ensure support, governance, security, standardization across the organization. That is best practice. However, what you don't want to do is to have IT building every single new solution for you. You want to have more self-sufficiency as a business operations team, and that's what Tonkean provides as a platform. This also lowers maintenance costs because you're not maintaining custom code all over the place. It creates a single platform for you to connect all your systems and then write and orchestrate processes on top of it without having to write code. And finally, it's enterprise grade. You're going to be able to provide IT with confidence that the solutions that you're delivering are following best practices, are of utmost security, and have all the compliance that you need to ensure this can handle the mission critical processes that you have. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rory to show you a live product demo and show you how all of this in concept works in actuality. Go ahead and take it away, Rory.
Hey, thanks, Brett. Appreciate that. So what I'd like to do today is just run through what the Tonkean platform is at a high level and show you what our orchestration platform is all about. So the screen you're on right now is really the engine of Tonkean. This is kind of your toolkit where you get to control all of the different workflows for your processes. So each one of these rectangles here is its own individual workflow, which encompasses its own data sources, its own actions, its own business logic, and even if its own different teams and people. So as you can see here in this solution here, we've got 5 completely different types of workflows that are helping polar opposite sides of the business, where we've got email sorting. This could be for legal, where we're managing. We're sitting on top of an inbox like legal@company.com, and we're sorting through emails that come in, either auto-responding to them, creating tickets in different systems, or looping in different teams based on the contents of the email. In this one, we might be helping your support team orchestrate different processes, like escalating for bug requests that come through, looping in account managers for clients that may be pinging support a lot, etc. All the way to employee provisioning and deprovisioning, right? When you've got a new employee who's a salesperson, that's a completely different onboarding process that salesperson needs to have on top of all the different tools and accounts they need to have versus a legal employee versus a recruiting employee. So this is where we really kind of help the IT team, automate some of those account provisions, but also maybe proactively reach out to some of the hiring managers to ask questions on, what exactly profile access does this person need for Salesforce, or what level of security do they need for their recruiting platform. Really, the end of the day here is Tonkean Platform is a blank slate. And we can help, fill in the gap with any business function, as opposed to just kind of really siloing in and being a point solution for, a legal team or just for a RevOps team. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump into one of these modules just to actually show you what it looks like. In this case, I'm jumping into one that's probably more in the RevOps, maybe more specifically like sales and legal world, where that relationship between the sales team and the legal team, when we're talking about closing deals and getting NDAs and MSAs and all the other fun legal hoops that the sales folks have to jump through, we are helping facilitate that process so that the sales team stays in the loop and doesn't need to bug the legal team, and also doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the legal team in terms of facilitating some of the data exchanges, the conversations, and document processing. So again, we're 100% no code. So what you're seeing here is just all boxes and actions that you can drag and drop and basically kind of click into and customize. So we read Tonkean left to right. And the way Tonkean works is you always need to be monitoring a data source. Now, in this case, you see the Salesforce logo, and specifically we're monitoring opportunities. This could be Jira tickets, this could be intercom conversations, this could be an inbox, this could even be a form. We don't really care what the data source is. All we care about is Tonkean is going to sit there and monitor all of the data, all the items, and all the actions that are taking place with this specific data source. Now, over on the right is really where kind of the magic happens, where you're seeing these boxes. So you see all these different triggers. This is where you're going to put your custom business logic. So in this example, we're saying that, hey, if the opportunity in Salesforce, that stage is equal to negotiation review and a checkbox of legal required is true, then do these sets of actions. In this workflow, we're saying, hey, if the opportunity stage is contract and it closes in the next days, then do these sets of actions. Now, it's pretty limitless where you can have all of these different opportunity-based triggers all in one workflow so that you don't need to jump into many different workflows. You're seeing the holistic process story, or like the business process story, in one legible left to right narrative. So you can see it's very, very redundant. Anyone can come in here and really just like take 2 minutes and read what's actually happening in this process and be able to come in and enact change so that you're not relying on IT to, deal with custom code, or you don't have to write long SOP documents on what everything is. People would just come in here, read what's happening, adjust as needed, and make it live. So your time to value is so much faster. Now, on the polar opposite, we've got our actions. So with all the different triggers and your conditions, you obviously want to do stuff. So we have our people coordination actions. This is the most important component of Tonkean. It's really our big differentiator. This is where we bring in humans into processes. So when you think about kind of more transactional, kind of point-to-point processes where you're sending data from system A to system B, that's great. But what happens before the data move and what happens after is really where humans kind of have to be involved. So what we do is we say, hey, why don't we just bring a frictionless way to involve humans in these processes without them breaking down? Maybe it's asking a question to someone in an email and providing them, a specific button to take, whether that's in an email or Microsoft Teams or Slack or what have you. And then with that, maybe if they click this button, then it updates the system in Salesforce, or it adds a row, or it reaches out to another person, or it starts an approval process. It's really kind of limitless. And the whole point is that we want people to stay in the systems that they are familiar with. If salespeople live in Salesforce, let them live there. They shouldn't need to be in a Jira or a legal system if they don't have to. We should bring everything that they need to their system and their mode of communication, like a Slack or an email. And that's the same with everyone else in your company. So just to round out the actions, we do have native OCR and NLP. So when I was talking about, we can read unstructured data like emails and take action based off the contents of them. You can also read through PDFs and Word docs and all that fun stuff and take action on unstructured data there. And lastly, there's the data actions component. Again, this is your data actions of creating Zendesk tickets, comments, creating DocuSign envelopes, creating stuff in Google Sheets or in Excel online, moving files around in SharePoint. Any of the data sources that you have connected to Tonkean, you are able to take all of the native actions that you would need and or want for all of your different business processes. So just to fully round out what this process is doing in less than 30 seconds, what we're saying here is when the stage is negotiation and that checkbox is checked, if the contract value is less than 50,000, meaning it might be an SMB contract, why don't we go ahead and generate a template of that contract, put it in an envelope, and then reach out to the sales manager, the opportunity owner, and maybe anyone else, and get their sign off, make some edits on the envelope. And then once it's approved by everyone in that cycle, why don't we just automatically send that contract to the prospect and call it a day? That way no one had to even go into DocuSign. We didn't have to ping people about the approval. We didn't even have to create the template itself. It was all automatically done. Now let's say it's greater than 50,000, where it might be enterprise and you need to get legal involved to do some red lines, etc. Well, because we know that the amount is greater than 50K because we're connected to Salesforce and it's a negotiation, why don't we just automatically create a Zendesk ticket where the legal team is living and then reach out to the channel legal in Slack asking who wants to take it. Now, what's great about this is we're able to monitor that Slack thread. So when the collaboration happens in Slack with the lawyers involved, the salespeople involved, and anyone else, every time a message happens on that thread that we just sent, it's going to post back to Chatter on this specific opportunity so that context is never, ever lost. And all that great collaboration that happened in Slack is never lost, and it's on that opportunity record. Now, just to round this out even more, that Zendesk ticket is going to go through a bunch of different stages as the legal team is working on it. Now, this is really where the process comes full circle, where sales now has complete insight into what is actually happening into legal's world for this contract. Because every time the Zendesk ticket status changes from new to pending to open to in progress to whatever, we're going to notify that exact same Slack thread that we just sent here that pinged the legal team and the opportunity owner so that everyone is staying in the loop. Now, what else we could do is we can go even crazier and add a Salesforce action to update the legal status on that opportunity. Every time the Zendesk status changes, we can add that field of legal status and then put in the Zendesk status, wherever that's at. Let's call it ACV right now. But this is the Zendesk status. So again, this is, you just saw me just click a few boxes. 100% no code. Really, really straightforward. Lastly, just want to show you the data sources because we just talked about a bunch of them. As you can see here, have a bunch of them connected, and this is where we start to play nice with IT. We want IT to ensure that we have only the access we need to Salesforce, to Google Drive, to everything like that. And also if you have custom APIs or webhooks to like custom internal tools that you want to take action on, we can connect those as well. And this is really, again, where we bridge that gap between IT and the end users so that IT trusts us and ensures that, nothing is going to break and everything like that, so that you have the power to enact the processes that you want and need to change. So very, very high level, but hopefully that was helpful, and would love to open it up for questions now.